This is video 4 of chapter 8. We'll be talking about the pectoral girdle and the upper limb. So we're going to learn about the bones that make up your shoulders and your arms in this video. The pectoral girdle, also called the shoulder girdle, is the skeletal support for the arm. It consists of two bones. You have your clavicle, the common name for that is your collarbone, and your scapula, common name shoulder blade. So your clavicle articulates or joins and moves against the sternum, and that happens laterally to the scapula. So we have the sternoclavicular joint where the sternum and the clavicle come together, and the acromioclavicular joint, tough word to say there, where your scapula and your clavicle come together. Your scapula then articulates with the clavicle and the humerus. And this is a loose joint. It becomes dislocated fairly easily. You guys, I'm sure, have heard of somebody who has their shoulder dislocated. That's what we're talking about here. So the clavicle is a kind of flat, S-shaped bone. It's pretty fragile. It breaks pretty easily. So here is the clavicle. This is the side that articulates with the sternum. This is the side that articulates with the scapula. So the scapula gets its name because it looks kind of like a shovel. It's kind of triangle shaped, has three sides, superior, medial, and lateral, and also three angles, superior, inferior, and lateral. The spine is on the posterior side, and it has the supraspinatus, or above the spine, and infraspinatus, below the spine, fossas, which are indentations. So here's some more information about the specific shape of the scapula. This is good to be familiar with, not critical to memorize for your exam. And this is what the scapula looks like. This is that kind of shovel shape that we have going on here. And situated in your shoulder, the spine here is pointing outward. If you feel your own shoulder blade, you'll feel this spine. That's the part that you can feel. Your upper arm, your upper limb, your arm is divided into a total of 30 bones. Okay, so we have lots of bones. Most of them are in the hand and the wrist. So the brachium extends from the shoulder to the elbow. It has only one bone. That's your humerus. You know, your humerus is in your upper arm. And then you have the antebrachium, and that's your forearm. Okay, so elbow to wrist is the antebrachium. Has two bones in there, the radius and the ulna. And then your hand has the carpal region, that's where your wrist is, and that carpal region has 8 bones that are in 2 rows, and those 8 bones are able to glide across each other very smoothly, and that gives your wrist this huge range of motion that it has. And then we have 5 metacarpals in the palm of your hand, those are the long bones, and then 14 phalanges, which are your fingers. So here is some very specific anatomy and features of the humerus. Good to review, not critical for the exam. Here's a picture representation of those features of the humerus. You might want to note that the humerus is a long bone that has a head on this side and then the trochlear on this side where it articulates in that hinge joint with the radius and ulna. Okay, so your elbow comes in here at this end, and then this is part of the ball and socket joint that makes your shoulder. This connects with the scapula. Okay, so some very specific information about the radius and ulna here. Okay, again, good to review, not critical for the exam. And here's what these look like. Okay, so again, here is where we're articulating with the humerus. This is where your elbow attaches. And here are the facets that meet up with the carpal bones in your wrist. Okay, again, we saw that there are 8 bones in your wrist, and they're in 2 rows. Guys, please don't spend a whole lot of time memorizing the names of these bones. I'm not going to ask you specific names of the carpal bones. And here's what they look like. So we have the proximal row. This is closest to the radius and ulna. And the distal row, furthest from the radius and ulna. Here are your metacarpals that would be found in the palm of your hand. And then the phalanges. So the proximal, the medial or middle, and the distal. Detailed information about the metacarpals and phalanges. Again, good to know. Don't spend a lot of time memorizing it for the exam. And one last picture here of the carpals. I do want you guys to know the name of this set of bones is the carpals, the metacarpals, and then the phalanges are the fingers.